Hi everybody, would you believe me if I told you that Blinkit, Zepto and Instamart, they are driving Amazon and Flipkart absolutely crazy. And there is a chance that in the next 10 years, Blinkit, which is an Indian company, it could become bigger than the legendary Amazon itself.
After tasting success in food delivery and later in quick commerce through Blinkit, Zomato is now planning something more ambitious.
That Zomato is now becoming a front runner.
Blinkit is about 40 to 50% of the size of Zomato right now.
Blinkit would drive more value for shareholders in the next 10 years than Zomato.
So I think it's a matter of some number of months before Blinkit becomes bigger than Zomato.
And as we speak, there is a tectonic shift in the Indian market that is making it possible. In 2022, we made a video on Dunzo and Zepto explaining their unit economics and how the idea of quick commerce itself is not floating well at all.
Instant food delivery segment, many questions were raised about delivery partner safety as well as the 10-minute food delivery, whether it's even possible or is it simply a marketing gimmick.
As we've seen with all the D2C players post-pandemic, CAC or customer acquisition cost has increased as well. So then how does it make sense for someone to be in business like this and be profitable?
And that was true in 2022. But 2 months ago, I saw this LinkedIn post by Shantanu Deshpande, who runs a company called the Bombay Shaving Company. And he said that they saw a day when they sold more products through Blinkit than they sold via Amazon. And it is so stunning to know this because 2 years back, Blinkit sales were at 0% of Amazon for Bombay Shaving Company. A year back, it was at 10% of Amazon. And now, Blinkit sales are crossing 100% of Amazon. And the reason why this is a very big deal is because today, if you have your brand on Amazon, it's no big deal at all because it's too crowded today. But 10 years back, if your brand was on Amazon, you had the golden opportunity to drive insane sales. And this is where we saw the rise of giant D2C companies like Boat, Mamaearth and Noise. So just like Amazon 10 years back, today, if you understand why Blinkit and Instamart are revolutionary, it could be a huge opportunity for you. So as usual, as a business nerd, I got deep into every part of the quick commerce industry to try and find out what exactly has fundamentally changed in the quick commerce revolution of India. And you know what? I found something absolutely mind-blowing. So in this episode today, you are going to get a sneak peek into one of the most valuable reports in the history of Indian consumer market. And this report will tell you how on earth did a struggling unit like Blinkit start growing faster than Zomato? How did quick commerce go from being a landmine to a goldmine in just 2 years? Why does it look like Blinkit could beat a giant like Amazon in the next 10 years in India? What exactly is their business strategy that is making it possible? And most importantly, what are the business lessons that we need to learn from this Blinkit versus Amazon case study? Before we move on, let me tell you about our education partners of today's episode, and that is Odoo. Odoo is an all-in-one management software that provides a range of applications to simplify the day-to-day business management. Take the example of their e-commerce builder. You can make your e-commerce store in just 4 easy steps. You can customize your store by just dragging and dropping blocks depending on your need, and you can also use images from Odoo's stock library, add content, and do many more things effortlessly. To add your product, click on New and then Product. Type in the name and price of your product, and that's it. Your product page is live. You can also easily add different versions of your product, suggest additional items, and promote related products. The best part is that you can configure your payment methods directly on the platform with local payment methods through UPI and Razorpay. All of this is completely free because Odoo gives you lifetime free access for your first application on Odoo with unlimited hosting, support, and a free custom domain for a year. So if you find this useful, check out Odoo from the link in the description. Let's start from the basics. In 2022, we calculated the unit economics of quick commerce companies. And when we did this case study, we highlighted 3 major challenges with the quick commerce industry. And because of these problems, all the companies in the industry were in losses. So the question is, what exactly were these problems? Well, to understand that, you will have to understand some math. So let's dive into it. According to this Economic Times article, it costed anywhere between 25 to 40 lakhs to set up a dark store, and a typical dark store is about 2000 to 2500 square feet large. It has a total of 34 staff at the store who are mostly packers. The average order value was 350 to 400 rupees for the industry in 2022, and the gross profit margins of the companies were between 15% and 20%. Now, what is gross margin? It is your total revenue minus the cost of goods and services divided by revenue. So if you shop for 400 rupees, which includes bread, milk and vegetables, then the gross margin is revenue, which is 400 rupees minus the cost price of the products divided by revenue. So here, if the company is getting a 20% margin, then the cost of products to the company is 320 rupees and the gross margin is 80 rupees. So this is pretty amazing, right? 80 rupees profit per order, and there are hundreds of orders that are going out. Well, not really, because this is not net profit but gross margin. So this 80 rupees margin does not include the indirect fixed cost like office expenses, rent, administrative cost or even delivery cost. Because back then, delivery was made free no matter how less you ordered. Because back then, most of these quick commerce companies, they were giving out free deliveries regardless of how less your order value was. And this last mile delivery cost was one of the most expensive cost variables in the chain. Because if you do the math, a delivery boy gets a salary of at least 25 to 35k, and on an average, a rider clocked 20 to 30 deliveries a day back then. So we took a safe average of 30,000 rupees salary with 25 deliveries a day. So now we have 750 deliveries a month, and the cost per delivery was 40 rupees. And sometimes this cost could even go up to 60 rupees per order because of inefficiencies. But right now, let's not get there, and let's consider this cost to be 40 rupees. Now, if you take out 40 rupees delivery charge from a gross margin of 80 rupees, we only have 40 rupees margin left per order. Now, according to Money Control Pro's research, this dark store in Mumbai touched 600 orders a day back then. So, assuming 600 orders per day, they would have 18,000 orders per month. So with 18,000 orders in a month, with a 40 rupees margin excluding delivery, that leaves the store with 7.2 lakh rupees per month. But this store also has 34 employees with a salary ranging between 18 to 20k. So even if we take the lower limit of 18,000 rupees, the salary cost itself amounts to 6.12 lakh rupees. Now add up rent or installment for the place, electricity bills, software, marketing and maintenance, and this clearly looks like a cash draining store, right? So in summary, from this case study, we could figure out that there were three major challenges in the quick commerce industry. Number one, the average order value of quick commerce companies was dwindling between 350 and 400 rupees. And with such a small AOV, it was very difficult to make a profit. Number two, gross margins of 20% were highly unlikely because even back then, DMart was operating at a 16% gross margin. And thirdly, the delivery cost was eating into the gross margin of these companies. Because if their gross margin was 80 rupees and 40 to 60 rupees was going into just delivery, then you could imagine it was practically a cash burning machine. So the question is, what could be the solution to this problem? Well, if you remember back then, in this case study, we stated that if we only increase the average order value from 400 to 550 rupees, then suddenly the same dark store will become a cash machine. How? Well, this is how the math will change if you increase the average order value from 400 to 550 rupees. So now let's consider the average order value as 550 rupees. And now if you do the math with 600 orders a day and 18,000 orders a month, the equation looks completely different. A 20% gross margin would be 110 rupees. Deducting delivery cost of 40 rupees, we have 70 rupees per order. Multiply that by 18,000 and we suddenly have 12.6 lakh rupees in gross margin excluding the delivery charge. And now if we take out salaries, we would still have a comfortable 6.84 lakh rupees in margins to pay for maintenance, marketing, rent, software and other expenses per dark store. And when it comes to software services, if you have 100 to 200 profitable dark stores, then the cost incurred per store decreases by a large extent. So it's basically a game of scale. And you know what? This is what we had stated back then, where we said that if the average order value goes from 400 rupees to 550 rupees, then quick commerce will become a gold mine industry. And you know what, guys? This is exactly what has happened in the past 1 year. If you see this picture, while the average order value of Zepto stands at 450 to 500 rupees, for Instamart it stands at 500 to 550 rupees. For BB Now it stands at 500 rupees. But for Blinkit it stands at 635 rupees. Which means the quick commerce wave of India has officially crossed its sweet spot of 550 rupees average order value. So now the question over here is, how on earth did the average order value of these quick commerce companies shoot up from 350 to 400 rupees all the way up to 635 rupees? Well, this is where the 3 C's of e-commerce come in. You see, in the e-commerce market, there are 3 factors that determine the success of an e-commerce company: convenience, cost, and catalog. And every major e-commerce player tries to capitalize on one or two of these 3 C's. For example, Meesho is majorly focused on cost. Big Basket is majorly focused on cost and catalog. But back then, they were also focused on convenience, with their definition of convenience being 2 hours or 1 day delivery. Similarly, Amazon and Flipkart were focused on cost, catalog, and convenience, with their definition of convenience back then being 1 day delivery. So if you see, Big Basket and Amazon's benchmark of convenience is no longer the benchmark in the market, because now the benchmark of convenience is not 1 day, it is 20 freaking minutes. And this is the reason why there is a big threat to Amazon. And here's where you will tell me, bro, what are you saying? If I have to buy a kg of potatoes and DMart sells it at 30 rupees and Blinkit sells it at 40 rupees, that is a 30% increase in cost. Of course, I'll go to DMart, and I am willing to wait longer to save cost. So this quick commerce, it's just a marketing gimmick. Well, guess what? This is exactly what my mom told me. But when I spoke to hundreds of other people from a different income level, the answer was very different. And you know, this whole angle got me back to this Bloom Ventures report, which says that India is not one market, it has 3 different markets. For those who don't know, India can be categorized as India 1, which is 30 million households with an average income of $15,000. India 2, which has 300 million people with an average income of $3,000 per person. And India 3, which has 1 billion people with an average income of $1,000 per person. And you can see these 3 categories of people in India as 3 different countries, which are Mexico, Indonesia, and a sub-Saharan African country. And this is based on their consumption levels. Because if you look at the consumption of India 1, it is so disproportionately high as compared to India 2 and India 3 that it is absolutely mind-blowing. Because if you look at this chart, India 1 alone consumes 89% of the entire beauty products in India, 70% of dining in India, and 79% of the entire food and beverage consumption in India. So 120 million people, as in less than 10% of the Indian population, is consuming 3 times more than the rest of the 1.3 billion people combined. And this is a drastic difference in consumption. And not just that, look at this graph. India 1 is the one that actually buys an iPhone, and India 2 and India 3 combined buy HUL products on a daily basis, which includes all of your products like Surf Excel, Vim, and Axe type products. But even then, the revenue from iPhone alone is set to surpass the revenue of the entire HUL umbrella in 2024. So iPhone alone will generate more revenue than Vim, Rin, Dove, Pond's, Lifebuoy, Kisan, Horlicks, and a dozen other brands combined. So do you realize India 1 is a mammoth? And now if you want to place the Indian e-commerce market in these segments, you will see the magic of quick commerce. In this chart, you will see that India 3 rarely buys online and it prefers a Kirana store or a local shop because India 3 is only focused on cost. India 2 buys from Meesho, Flipkart or Amazon because they're focused on both cost and catalog. And India 1 is so focused on catalog and convenience that it doesn't really care about cost at all. So whichever platform offers them the right product in the quickest possible time, they will go ahead and buy the product from that platform. Now, just to give you a more relatable angle, we can understand India 1, India 2, India 3 in the entertainment context. India 3 consumes YouTube for free because they don't mind ads at all. India 2 probably got Amazon Prime because of Amazon Music and Prime subscription, so they do mind ads, but not enough to pay for ad-free content by itself. So if you give them value for money, then they'll definitely buy a product. And India 1 pays for Netflix, Prime, and even has a YouTube subscription, all on autopay on their credit card, because in most cases, they would want a subscription simply because they don't want ads and they don't even want the headache of not having a particular OTT subscription when they want to watch something. So do you realize this is a drastic difference in thinking between India 1, 2 and 3? So from this consumer behavior itself, you can sense how rich the India One customer is, right? So to put that straight, the customer in India One is giving the e-commerce market of India 3 incredible superpowers. Number 1, because the customer doesn't bother so much about cost, automatically the average order value increases. Number 2, because the customer doesn't bother so much about cost and cares more about convenience, in exchange for this convenience, you can increase your margins and charge them a premium. And lastly, when it comes to catalog, because this segment of the customer consumes more than the rest of the population, it gives you the golden opportunity to increase your catalog along with cost. And if you notice the evolution of Blinkit, Swiggy and Zepto, this is exactly what they have done in the past 1.5 years. Firstly, instead of making delivery free, they started charging the customers a delivery fee in addition to the order value, and they sometimes even charge a high demand fee. Secondly, their products are priced at a premium as compared to other marketplaces. For example, look at this comparison. This is the cost of milk on Amazon and Blinkit. And while this Amul product sells for 78 rupees on Amazon, it sells at 80 rupees on Blinkit. Now you will tell me, bro, 2 rupees ka difference is no big deal at all, because every other platform will have this minor difference. Well, that is right. That is the reason why I got you more examples. A bottle of Thumbs Up costs 38 rupees on Amazon but 45 rupees on Blinkit. Now, if you know the FMCG market, you will know that FMCG is such a cutthroat industry that even a 1 rupee increase in price is a very big deal for the company, because India is a very, very price sensitive market. But here, Blinkit is charging you 7 rupees extra, as in an 18% premium plus delivery fee, simply because of the convenience that it offers you, which is 10 or 20 minutes delivery. And when it comes to electronics, it's even crazier. While Amazon sells this car charger for 377 rupees, on Blinkit it costs 449 rupees, which is again a 19% premium on such a high price product. And by the way, this 377 rupees includes the margin of Amazon also. So Blinkit gets the margin of Amazon plus a 19% premium plus a delivery fee. And if these products are still selling, do you realize the quick commerce companies have an extraordinary advantage of escaping the price war, and they can command more margins because India One is not price sensitive at all. India One is convenience sensitive. And what is convenience for them? It is saving of time. As a result, 10 or 20 minutes delivery is a very big deal for India One. As a result, that premium makes it worth it. And thirdly, while in 2022 Blinkit and Swiggy only sold groceries, today, Blinkit sells everything from groceries to meat to electronics to shirts to even a PlayStation 5. So with such a drastic increase in catalog, as more and more people got habituated to the convenience of quick commerce, the average order value and the number of orders per dark stores, they have shot up drastically. This is the reason why the average order value of Blinkit has touched 635 rupees. And this 635 rupees does not include the delivery fee, platform fee, or the high traffic fee, or the high demand fee, whatever you would like to call it. And cherry on the cake is that when we spoke to our ground sources, we were told that even a basic low performing dark store today gets a minimum of 1000 to 1200 orders a day. So do you realize from 2022 to 2024, we have gone from 600 orders per day to 1200 orders per day per dark store. And for Blinkit, today the average orders per day stand at 1400 orders per day per dark store. And this is what, ladies and gentlemen, gives rise to something absolutely magical. In fact, as the industry has evolved, the dark stores now have a mother store which also comes with its own cost of handling. So this time, instead of making my assumptions and giving you a crude calculation, we looked at a financial report from JM Financial. And they have estimated the latest unit economics of Blinkit to the best of their ability. Now the disclaimer over here is that people, from here on, the content might get a little heavier for you because I'm going to blurt out a lot of numbers. But don't worry about it. We will try to represent these numbers in the simplest way possible using a table. And even if you're not able to understand a lot of things, at the end of the segment, just take a screenshot and you will understand everything. Okay? If this is clear to you, let's get started. First, let's start with revenue. In revenue, we have warehousing services plus marketplace commissions, which gets them 414.4 crore rupees, which translates to 74 rupees per order. Ad income comes to 124 crores at 22 rupees per order. Customer fees, which includes delivery fees, handling fees and other fees, it comes out to be 105.6 crore rupees or 19 rupees per order. So total revenue is 644 crores, which is a revenue of 115 rupees per order. If this is clear to you, let's come to direct cost. Here, the platform discounts and incentives come out to be 11.2 crore rupees, which comes to 2 rupees per order. Dark store operation cost comes to 120 crores or 22 rupees per order. Mid-mile delivery, as in the cost of delivery from the mother warehouse to the dark store, costs 106 crore rupees or 19 rupees per order. Last mile delivery, as in the delivery to the final customer, costs 245.5 crores or 44 rupees per order. Packaging cost plus wastage plus communication cost plus support services, including the payment gateway, cost about 75 crore rupees or 13 rupees per order. So the total estimated cost comes out to be 558 crores or 100 rupees per order. So here the contribution margin comes out to be 15 rupees per order. Now the question over here is this contribution margin the same as profit margin of Blinkit? Well, not at all. There is a slight difference between contribution margin and profit margin. So pay attention to this very, very carefully because this is a very important concept. And as usual, we'll try to understand this using a simple example. You see, in a business operation like Blinkit, there are two types of costs involved: fixed costs and variable costs. What is the difference between both these costs? Variable costs will increase with orders and fixed costs will remain constant even if the number of orders increases. So let's say there is a Blinkit dark store. In fixed costs, we will have costs like rent of the dark store, salaries of the packers and electricity bills. So if you look at these expenses, regardless of whether I process 100 orders per day or 1000 orders per day, the cost of my rent, salaries of packers and electricity bills, all of them will not change at all. But when you look at variable costs like purchase of inventory, packaging and delivery cost, these are the costs that will change with the number of orders. So if I process 100 orders a day, then my inventory coming in will be worth 60,000 rupees. But tomorrow, if my store starts processing 10,000 orders a day, then I will have to order inventory worth 60 lakh rupees. Similarly, today, if I pack 100 orders, at 2 rupees per order, it will cost me 200 rupees for packaging. But tomorrow, if I process 1000 orders, it will cost me 2 into 1000, which is 2000 rupees. So while fixed costs will not change with scale, the variable costs will change with scale, which is why when we did the unit economics, we did not include rent or electricity bill at all. Because with scale, the fixed cost per order will actually decrease. For example, if my rent is 1 lakh rupees and I process 10,000 orders a month, my rent paid per order comes out to be 10 rupees per order. But if I start processing 1 lakh orders per month, because my rent is still the same at 1 lakh rupees, the rent paid per order will cost only 1 rupee per order. So in short, if you look at the difference between both these costs in the equation, fixed cost will not change with increase in orders, and as you process more and more orders, the fixed cost per order will actually decrease. And this is nothing but economies of scale. But when it comes to variable costs, even though the per order cost might not change, as we increase the number of orders, the cost per order stays the same. This is the difference between fixed costs and variable costs. And if this sounds a little confusing to you, it's completely okay. Please rewind and listen to the example again and you will understand it better. But if you've understood this, you can understand the difference between contribution margin and net margin. If you look at contribution margin, it is equal to revenue minus variable costs. But if you look at profit margin, it is revenue minus fixed costs plus variable costs. So if a store does 1 lakh rupees in revenue and has a variable cost of 70,000 rupees, then the contribution margin is 1 lakh rupees minus 70,000 rupees equal to 30,000 rupees. As in 30,000 rupees is now left with me to cover my fixed cost. Now you might say, bro, why do we calculate contribution margin? Why can't we just look at profit margin? Good question. And here's my answer. You see, when you look at contribution margin, you can check if the economics make sense per order or not. For example, let's say my rent is 30,000 rupees. So if I make 30 rupees per order as contribution margin, and today I process 1000 orders a month, then I will only break even because I am left with only 30,000 rupees in contribution margin, which is completely going away in fixed cost. But here's why if I market my platform well and increase the scale, then something magical happens. If I go from 1000 orders to 2000 orders, then I will make 60,000 rupees in contribution margin, pay the same 30,000 rupees in rent and make a profit of 30,000 rupees. So this way I will know how much scale do I have to achieve to cover my fixed cost and then make a profit. In this case, I know that if I process less than 1000 orders, I will not make a profit. But with the same store, if I process 2000 orders, then I will make a profit. This is the reason why contribution margin is calculated, so that we can understand if a particular business can make a profit with scale or not, and if it can make a profit, at what scale can it make a profit. If this is clear to you, let's come back to Blinkit. Here we saw that their average order value just shot up to touch 635 rupees, because of which their contribution margin is coming to 2.4%. So with scale, Blinkit can achieve net profitability very soon. And as the order value increases, the contribution margin will increase even more to help Blinkit achieve more profitability. Why? Because as the scale increases, the fixed cost will go down. As a result, the profit margin will increase. This is the story of the evolution of quick commerce in India. And after all this story, it brings us to the last part of the episode, and that are the business lessons that we need to learn from the rise of quick commerce and the opportunities that we have as entrepreneurs of the 21st century in the Indian consumer market. Lesson number 1. India 1 is this rare segment of customers in this population of 1.4 billion that cares more about time and convenience. And the rest of India is price sensitive. So if you're a premium brand and you do not sell on Instamart or Blinkit or Zepto, you are making a big mistake. Because now the volumes are surging, the average order values are going up, and the discovery is easier as compared to what it will be 2 years later. So spend money on ads and get yourself listed in all these platforms as soon as possible. Lesson number 2. As an investor, this thesis formation needs to be done by you and your team on a yearly basis. And like we made a thesis last year and predicted the sweet spot of profitability of quick commerce, you and your team should study every industry, form your thesis, and then invest in businesses, because this will give you a far better idea about a gold mine way before everybody else figures out. Or you can just subscribe to thinkschool and get everything within a press of a button. But anyways, lastly, I said this 2 years back when Zomato got listed. Zomato has the most valuable asset in the world, which is data. So now Zomato knows which colony in Juhu orders from a premium restaurant with an AOV of 2000 rupees and which colony in Juhu looks for discounts before ordering. And this gives them an insane advantage of placing their dark stores in very accurate places as compared to an Amazon or Flipkart. So the lesson over here is that no matter how small or big a business you are, the question that you need to ask yourself is, how much data are you collecting on a daily basis, and how are you using your data to build a barrier to entry for your competition? This is the food for thought that you need to have from this case study. In this case, Zomato and Swiggy both are using their data mine to build a formidable barrier to entry against giants like Flipkart and Amazon, and more importantly, a segment of their business which looked like an experiment, it is now about to become bigger than their mainstream business itself. And that itself is a testament of what data and usage of data can do. And this is what is resulting into another saga of business war between Blinkit, Swiggy, Amazon, Flipkart and Zepto. So Amazon and Flipkart are going to go head to head against Blinkit, Swiggy and Zepto. And this is going to be an interesting case study to study. And as usual, I just cannot wait to go through countless research papers so that I can give you the best case studies possible. That's all from my side for today, guys. I just hope you learned something valuable, and I just hope you're able to digest all the complex information that were presented in this case study. If you learned something valuable, please make sure to the like button in order to make YouTube Baba happy. And for more such insightful business and political case studies, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.